There's gonna be a lot of letters and numbers in this one. There's really no two ways about it. Anyway, I bought a Sennheiser HD600 a while back, and I really enjoyed it. It's got this really funky acoustic design, but it's packed into a very simple and approachable frame. It's a very refined workhorse type experience. I found myself wondering, though, like, how wacky can reference headphones get? Well, the answer may be here, with the Audio-Technica ATH-R70X. Truth be told, these have been on my radar for some time, since I found the ATH-M50X to be pretty decent, and I really enjoyed the sci-fi nonsense of the HD600. This finally won its place in my shopping cart. Well, how wacky is it? With multiple H's, my friend. Hwhacky. But first, the sound. That's really what matters here, right? This is going to be partially in reference to the Sennheiser HD600, as that seems fair to me. Bass is a little thicker and more impactful than on the Sennheiser HD600, but it doesn't really go overboard. It's just good, solid bass that doesn't knock your house down or seduce your spouse. The mid-range is pretty flat, which longtime viewers will know I think is fantastic. There's some emphasis on the lower mid-range, though, which I think is meant to give more weight to the bass. It works, and I think it's pretty tastefully done. Treble is a little more subdued than the HD600, though it retains a similar sort of effortless, unveiled property. If you feel the HD600 is a little too aggressive at the top end, this is a potential solution. Maybe. I say all this right, but the fact of the matter was that this was a very challenging comparison. I guess that makes sense. They're made for the same purpose, with similar specifications, constructed in a visually similar way out of basically the same materials at about the same price point. They're going to sound similar. And don't even get me started on untangling these freaking cables. A lot of the sound difference seems, to me, like it's probably based around the construction of the voice coils. The HD600 uses an aluminum voice coil, and I think the R70X uses copper-clad aluminum in the voice coil like the M50X does. The R70X probably has more turns of wire than the 600 as well, as it has an impedance of 470 ohms instead of the HD600's 300 ohms. These two factors likely make the R70X voice coil a little heavier than the 600, which improves reproduction of bass slightly at the cost of reproduction of treble. Slightly. The R70X also has larger drivers, 45 millimeters instead of 42 millimeters. That'll also skew a little toward bass, though these are all very small differences. Where the user interacts with these, that's where the Hwhacky is. We got to talk about the headband. Can we talk about the headband? I'm dying to talk to you about the headband. There kinda isn't one. This band here doesn't come into contact with the user while being worn. It's a frame to hold this thing together. These things here, the 3D wing support system, these take the role of the headband. Look at this nonsense. Look at the articulation here at the end. This is absolutely wild and might even infuriate me, except for one thing. It freaking works. These things self-adjust into consistently good position. Bear in mind, these things are a demo pair. They've had a bit of break-in, and they still work perfectly. And they're quite comfortable. To me, anyway. I can imagine this might not work so well for some. The cable. If you watched the unboxing, you saw me figure this out on camera. Three contacts at the device end, 3 contacts on each of the ear cups. I have enough theories about this that it's almost trying to tell me a story. The M50X, and I assume most of the others in that sort of M range, have a single full stereo jack on the left. The internal wiring in that left ear cup divides the ground 2 ways, and sends a ground and the left hot to the left driver, while the other ground and the right hot go to the right driver. On this, each side has a stereo jack. It's just that one only connects to the left hot and the ground, and the other only connects to the right hot and the ground. This eliminates the annoyance of trying to set up a pair of these in, like, the dark. Both cables are the same. You don't have to figure out right and left like the Sennheiser, while eliminating the need to run a cable from one side to the other. These bits of cable here after the split, they're often going to ride on like your shoulders or your chest or whatever. There might be a perceived reduction in weight by getting rid of that cable going crosswise. Yeah, there are two absolutely mad possibilities as to why they didn't just do a cable running through from one side to the other. Either they thought the cable going over the frame would be ugly, or they wanted to make it lighter, and they found that the math worked out here. Why do I think it's to do with weight? Well, because these weigh freaking nothing. The Sennheiser HD600 is already rather light, and this weighs a whopping 2 ounces less. How much is that in real units? I don't know, but it's a noticeable difference in the hand and makes a big difference while wearing it. As for why it's not just 2 mono jacks, I assume it's because it's literally just the jack from the ATH-M50X. In fact, I tested. If you plug half of the ATH-R70X cable into the ATH-M50X, you get stereo sound. It successfully transmits left and right, and you get the added bonus of looking like an idiot because there's going to be an extra cable hanging out somewhere. So that's... this jack was very minimal, if I remember from the disassembly, so it's probably rather light, and just using that means they didn't have to design another jack. That's all I can figure there. So yeah, these things are wacky. Hwhacky, in fact. But I really like them. They might be my new main headphones on my desktop computer, just because I find them to be more comfortable than the Sennheiser HD600. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a nice evening. Consider liking and subscribing.